Welcome back to the Altar Power session. My name is Kim O'Neill, and it's my honor to bring you our second video series, Inspired by Crisis, where we'll be hearing from some of Altr Global and Transformation TV's worldwide experts on how to navigate change and uncertainty in times of crisis. Today, we're connecting with Dianne Windsor. Welcome, Dianne.
Welcome. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So, Dianne, the first thing I want to ask you is, as a certified happiness trainer and licensed spiritual coach, what are your initial thoughts about navigating change and uncertainty in times of crisis?
Well, I can think of a lot of things, but to start with, I think one of the most important things that we need to think of is when there's a crisis going on. It could be a tornado or a flood or anything that's happening. I think it's important to know that we're not alone. We're always surrounded by other people that are going through this with us. And I think that if we keep that in mind, it's really important. Also think that it's important to remember that when you're thinking your thoughts, you have to remember that your thoughts create your reality. So if you are consumed with worry, think about, now, is that really serving me? Well, of course not. You have, especially if you have no control over the situation, it doesn't serve you to be worried about it. When you think of your thoughts, think of a telephone wire that goes from your head all the way up to the sky, and it's just like a telephone wire that your vibrations are going up into the air. And I know it's hard to think if you're not kind of spiritually minded, but our thoughts do create our reality. Everything that we think about creates what's happening in our life. So if we think bad thoughts, if we're thinking, oh, I'm never going to get my job back, I'm not going to have enough money to pay my rent, and over, all of those thoughts, the universe doesn't know if it's good for you or bad for you. It just knows what you're thinking, and it's going to give you more of the same. I think those are some really important things to think about.
That is such a great visual about the telephone line from you up to the universe.
Mhm.
I love that. I think we can all relate to that. So that's wonderful. And I also love that you just brought up that no one is alone. And so the first thing that comes to mind is thinking about those people who maybe don't have a lot of close friends or family and are thinking, but I kind of am alone. And what would you say to them to really help them connect to there being a support system beyond what they may see?
Well, I think that when we think of not being alone, if we feel like we are totally alone, we're by ourselves, we're you have to remember that we're always surrounded by, I like to think of them as angels because that's what I do, but everyone has a different word. It might be your source, your power, your God, um, the universe, whatever it is that you're thinking. We are surrounded by the most amazing beings, and they can help us and they can be there to support us. All we have to do is ask. So many people, they don't realize that if you don't ask, the angels can't help you because they can only intercede in our life if it's life threatening. So I always tell people to ask, 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 and I like to ask them as if it's already happening. So I like to say, thank you, angels, for keeping me safe in my car. So it's like it already happened. And just remember that nothing's too big and nothing's too small. If you have a decision or some kind of assistance that you need, just simply put it out there and believe. This is the most important part. It's not just visualizing and believing that it's going to happen and having faith, but to feel what it would feel like to have that in your life. That is the most important thing. It's those feelings that vibrate up into the universe.
Now, I'm a big fan of law of attraction and the importance of our feelings and all of that. And so I want to get your thoughts on, how does someone start to connect into a better feeling space when they are feeling alone or sad or maybe fearful? How can they start to shift into a better feeling?
There's a lot of different things that we can do for ourselves to curb our anxiety. And one of the biggest things is to breathe. It's amazing how our breath just helps us to connect with our inner self and to go within. Uh, sleep is really important for anxiety. And I just learned, and I've been doing this for the last few months, and it's amazing how it works, is to rub sesame seed oil on your feet. I know it sounds weird. You might want to put some socks on top if you like, but I tell you, like I would about once a month have 1 or 2 days where I could not either fall asleep, or I'd wake up after a couple of hours and couldn't go back to sleep. Ever since I've started using the sesame seed oil, I've had no problem at all. So sleep is really important. And it's also very important that we're eating nutritious foods, or getting our fruits and vegetables and things that are grown in the earth. Also
Yeah.
very, very important. And and I know it's really hard for some people, but meditation, and even myself, I find meditation hard. I have to do guided meditation where they're guiding me as to what my thoughts are. But it's really important to take that time, even if it's 10 minutes a couple times a day, to just sit and breathe and go within and be still. That really helps too. And another thing that I've really found that helps, and people have always told me this, but I never had time to do it, and now I have some time. I've started doing yoga. And I have to tell you that I was on holidays, and I'd had a problem for about 6 months with the nerves in my left side of my body so bad that I could not lie on my left side. It was like terrible because it's nerve pain. And I started doing yoga when I was away. I did it at like 4 times, and I did it in between.
Okay.
It's gone. The pain is gone. It's unbelievable. So yoga is also, I think, that something that can really help us, not with just pain, but to help us go within. Some people find it very, very spiritual. There's actually, let's do a little exercise. So if
Yes,
everyone can
love
put
it.
their feet flat on the floor, and I want you to put your hand over your heart and close your eyes. Take a couple of nice, deep, cleansing breaths. In through your nose, out through your mouth. Now I want you to tell your body that it's safe. And now I want you to ask your body what it needs. And the very first thing that comes to your mind, that's what you have to believe. Another deep breath. And when you feel ready, you can open your eyes. Now, your body may have told you that it needs to laugh, that it needs some fun in its life, that it needs water, good nutrition, it needs to have a nap. Whatever it is at that particular time is what you should follow. It really, truly is amazing. And then people go, well, what if I can't hear what they're saying? Because
Right.
not everybody feels they don't have the trust that, and they spend too much time and they analyze it, and then they get something. What I want to say is make it up. If you can't get it right away, make it up.
Ah,
Because where's that coming from? It's coming from the universe anyways when you make it up. So I think that that's kind of just a nice exercise to do.
that's great. Well, making it up, that's a also fantastic way to start to build that self-trust muscle. Trust your own guidance, and everything you just mentioned about the meditation and the yoga, and of course even just taking a moment to go within and ask yourself. I'm hearing, very simple, gentle ways to help to shift out of whatever's not feeling good, to help to flow into that better feeling place where our thoughts can be in alignment with what we actually truly desire to create more of in our life.
Absolutely. And I just thought of another one too, is to declutter. I'm in a program right now called Your Year of Miracles, and March is on letting go. So they challenged us to do, I call it a game, 27-9. So for 9 days, every day you have to throw away or give away 27 items. And I thought, oh my goodness, like I can't do this. I can't do this myself. I need support. So I created a Facebook a Facebook group, and I got 10 other people to do it with me.
That's
And they were
awesome.
sending pictures, and it was just so supportive. And the miracle in the whole thing is that my husband did it with me. Oh my goodness. I couldn't get him to throw a piece of paper away before, and 27 things every single day. So big brothers and big sisters just came yesterday and picked all the stuff up, and we had thrown away a ton of stuff. And when you declutter, that means you make space, you make room for beautiful opportunities to come in. Oh, and I just got the shivers from the angels. They're just saying, yes, yes, beautiful opportunities to come into your world. Try it. It's amazing how it works.
Oh, I love that. Okay, so I want to talk a little bit more about angels, and in addition to going within and asking for help, are there some other ways that people can connect to the angels or receive their guidance and little messages?
Well, there is also angel cards. And so I do angel card readings for people, and it always, I mean, I've been doing it for 9 years, but it amazes me how the cards just answer everyone's questions all the time, and it's gorgeous. But you can learn how to read your own cards, and even if you just pick one card, if you just say to the angels, "What do I need to know today?" and or "What's your message that you want to give me?" and you shuffle the cards with intent. I always get a message, okay, it's time to stop. Not everybody will get that. You just have to kind of go with your intuition. Okay, it's time to stop. You read that card, and as you're reading the card, you might get other information filling it in, and it might mean something. Some people have told me, oh my goodness, I get the same card every time I do it. And I'm going, well, it's trying to tell you something and you're not listening. So you need to follow what that card says, or it'll just keep coming up. Yes. And I think it's just really important to just sit and close your eyes and ask, what kind of message do you need from me today? And the first thing you get is from the angels. And know that they're surrounding you. They're there all the time. There's different angels, like there's archangels. I don't know if you've heard of
Okay.
them, but there's 14 different archangel. Most people know Archangel Michael. There's Archangel Shamriel and a whole bunch. And they all have specific different uh, priorities, different things that they're good at. Like
A focus.
yes, Archangel Michael is great with power. Uh, he's very, very powerful. He's also good with mechanical things, and I've asked him sometimes to help me with things that just don't work, and then all of a sudden they start working. It's wonderful. Archangel Shamriel is one of my favorite because she helps me find lost objects, and unfortunately, I lose objects way too often. So I go, thank you, Archangel Shamriel, for helping me find whatever, and immediately get something in my mind. And I go and look there, and there it is. So you can also call on the archangels, and you don't necessarily have to know which one does what. You can just say, I'm calling in the archangel that's good at finding lost objects I need, or thank you for helping me find. And it works. It just truly works.
I love that. I'm hearing so many different little ways to have fun and play around
Yeah,
with receiving the
absolutely.
support.
Absolutely. Another thing that I thought about is it's really important to appreciate
Mm.
the people in your life who help you. My husband and I do an appreciation game. So I will say, Rick, I really appreciate how supportive you are with my business. And then he'll say something to me about how he appreciates me. And we go back and forth like about 5 times. And then I heard you can add a little something, which is actually a little harder. You say, I appreciate myself because, and that's harder because you're almost not judging yourself, but you really have to think about, well, why do I appreciate myself? But that brings me to a beautiful story that I would love to share with the audience because
Yes,
it really
please.
just speaks to me. It's called the Blue Ribbon Story.
Okay.
There was a teacher, and yes, there was a teacher who decided she was teaching older, like teenagers at high school, and she decided she wanted to do something different. So she asked each student to come up one at a time. And for instance, she would go, Alice, I love how supportive you are with the other students, and you're always so caring. And William, I love your humor. I love how you make the students laugh and smile. And here's a blue ribbon that says, I appreciate you. And the ribbon actually says, what you do makes a difference. She went through the whole class and did that with them. And then she asked them, so how did that feel? And they all thought it was just wonderful. It just made them feel so special. She said, okay, I'd like to challenge you. I'm going to give each of you 3 more blue ribbons.
Mm.
And I want you to find someone that you appreciate and tell them, but not just that you appreciate, but why you appreciate them. So this young student had a part-time job, and he went there that evening, and he looked at his boss and he said, boss, I really appreciate you. I'm just this punk kid and nobody would hire me. I got long hair, and you saw something special in me and you gave me a chance. And because of you, I've earned enough money now to go to college in the spring. And here's a ribbon that says, who you are makes a difference. And here's 3 more ribbons. Will you please pass them on? So the next day, he went into his boss and he walked in and he said, you know, boss, I really need to tell you how much I appreciate you. I've been working for you for 12 years and you are so creative and you are so smart and you've taught me so much. Thank you, and I appreciate you. And here's a ribbon that says, who you are makes a difference. And here's 2 more ribbons. Would you pass them on? So he said, absolutely. And he went into his car and he thought, now who can I pass my ribbon on to? And he suddenly thought of his son. So he went home and he called his son into his den and he said, son, I know that I've been really hard on you lately and I've been putting you down and trying to get you to do your homework and your chores, but I really need to tell you how much I appreciate you and that I love you. And in fact, other than your mom, you're the most important person in my life right now. I don't know what I would do without you. And with those words, the son started to cry, tears rolling down his face, and he ran out of the room. And the poor father thought, oh my goodness, what did I do? About 10 minutes later, the son came back. His eyes were still red, but the tears had gone. And he was carrying something, but the father didn't know what it was. The son looked at the father and said, Dad, thank you so much for telling me that you loved me and appreciated me, because tomorrow I was going to commit suicide. And he handed his dad his gun. Now, I'd like to tell you that that is a true story. If
Oh,
that teacher had not gone through that exercise, that young boy would not be with us today. So it's so important that we tell the people in our life who we love that we love them and that we appreciate what they do. It's just so important.
oh, that's a beautiful story. Thank you for
Yes.
sharing that, Dianne.
It always touches me.
Yeah, very moving. Well, we were, uh, we have a few minutes left, but before we end, I would really like to touch on you are a certified happiness trainer, and I can imagine some people when they're going through times of change and uncertainty. I think it's that whole uncertainty piece that can really unsettle people, and where the anxiety and the fear and just kind of having tunnel vision on on everything that surrounds those emotions. And even so, there might be some people who are like, I see this is happening, but I don't feel like it's okay for me to be happy at this time, because don't I have to focus on what's happening? What would you say to really support that person who's either just having tunnel vision and not seeing the value of happiness at this time, or someone who's like, I would love to break away from this, but I don't feel like it's okay for me to.
I think that it's important to journal your feelings and write them down in a journal. I like to tell people to really go within and really think about why they're feeling that way. What in their self are they needing to let go, and to forgive themselves. It's so
Mhm.
important to forgive themselves. There's this beautiful forgiveness prayer. It's called Hono Pono Ono. It's an ancient Chinese saying, and it goes, if I can remember it, it goes like, um, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. And you just keep saying it. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love me. I love you. Now, it doesn't have to be thinking of somebody who wronged you. It could be to forgive yourself. Forgive yourself for worrying unnecessarily. Forgive yourself for anything that's going on in your mind that's maybe negative. I know it's easier to think a negative thought than it is to think a positive thought. So I would recommend that they journal it and then they take it outside in a little ceramic bowl, tear it up, put it in the ceramic bowl, and then light it on fire. And then ask the angels to release it, to just let it go. It really is cleansing in a way to just be able to let things go like that. Also, I recommend laughter. Laughter is just, they say laughter is the best medicine, right?
Yeah. Yep.
So find a comedy, find something that's really funny on TV. I think of The Big Bang Theory whenever I'm going, oh, I can't watch that anymore. I just need something light and airy and something I can laugh to. And so I kind of watch The Big Bang Theory, but there's so many other things out there that you can do. I actually have a laughter CD. I have to find that. You put it in and the person who's facilitating it starts laughing, and then you hear people in the background start laughing, and then you start laughing, and once you start laughing you can't stop, and oh my goodness, by the time you're finished the CD, you're like a different person. It's like all the anxiety is gone, and you just, like, laughter is the best medicine. So I really recommend that.
Oh, that is hilarious. I've never heard of a laughter CD, but that sounds fantastic. Just hearing you talk about it was cracking me up. Something I want to touch on is I love that you mentioned the Ho'oponopono. I'm familiar with that. And for anybody who's like, what's that? I want to look into that. I have a friend who's had a lot of great success with that as well. So that's a great suggestion. But I love that you said, I know that you first said, I love me. And the phrase is supposed to be I love you, but I feel like that could be potentially a key message for someone out there. That Absolutely. What do you think if they need to switch it up to say I love me instead? What do you think about that?
When you think of Louise Hay, she does the mirror work where I'll ask somebody who, I kind of feel like they don't feel they deserve things. Can you look in the mirror and say, I love you. I really, really love you. And a lot of people will say to me, oh, no, I couldn't do that. Well, right. It's time to start practicing. And what Louise Hay would suggest is that you go through different parts of your body one by one, like your hands. Hands, I love you. I love that you help me pick things up and they help me sort things and hold things. And then my feet, oh, I love you, feet. I love your strength and for holding me up and allowing me to walk and to run. And you go through your entire body like that. And then it gets easier and easier. And every day she tells you to do the mirror work, to look into your eyes and say, I love you. I really, really love you. And until you can do that, you're not loving yourself. And you're right. It's very important. Because if you don't love yourself, it's really hard for other people to love you. They feel that energy.
Right. Absolutely. I love all of that. You've shared so many helpful tips today, Dianne. Before we end this conversation, are there any final thoughts you'd like to add to conclude?
I think I'd like to end it with a quote. And I found this quote when I was doing the miracles group on letting go, and it just kind of spoke to me. It didn't have an author, but it says, the truth is, unless you let go, unless you forgive yourself, unless you forgive the situation, unless you realize that the situation is over, you cannot move forward. So I just wanted to end with that quote.
I think that's fantastic. Well, Dianne, thank you so much for being here today and sharing your wisdom and expertise with us. I really appreciate it. I know this was very helpful to a lot of people, so thank you.
I hope so.
Absolutely. And thank you for everyone who joined us today. We will see you on the next Altr Power Session special video series inspired by crisis.
Great.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.